Hello everyone, I'm Jeff Stanley with Standley Handcrafted, and today we're going to be doing episode 2 of the Q&A or candle Q&A. I forgot what I called it. So whatever the Q&A is from the last one, this is episode 2. Now the last one got such a great response and a lot of people really liked it, so I wanted to keep this one going. So I'm basically going to go back through and answer the questions from the first Facebook post that I made in the DIY Facebook group, and I'm going to go back through and try to get to some of those questions that I wanted to answer in the first one, but it would have made like an hour-long video. So this is going to be part 2 of that. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right into this. Mohammed asks, would love to find out more about how to navigate social media, how often to post, gain followers, etc. Now, another great question, and this one is, I'm basically just going to give my thoughts on what I think about social media and some things that have worked for me. Now, a lot of people have a real different approach to this one, so again, this one, take it with a grain of salt. This is what I've seen in the couple years that I've been doing it. I don't have the biggest followings in certain areas, but I do have a good following in certain areas, so I've definitely seen what works and what doesn't work, and this is basically what works for me. So with candles, the good thing about candles, and well, I'll start out. I'll say the bad thing with candles is a lot of people want to smell the candles. So you're basically trying to sell somebody off of a candle that they can't smell. So if somebody doesn't know what one of your scents is, it's really hard to convey that in pictures and written form or anything like that. So having them at a market is easy. People walk up, they see it, it's an easy sell. When you're jumping over to something like social media or any of the social media platforms, you've got to put a little bit more effort into really getting that product out there and making it stand out to somebody who's looking at it. Pictures are a great way to go. Instagram is probably the #1 place I would tell you to go for any candle stuff, because you can take pictures, you can make stuff really stand out in the pictures that you take. So if you have something like a lemon scent or a spa type candle, you'd probably want to do something like putting those spa type candles in a bathroom, maybe with a tub with bubbles. Whatever it is, you want the scent or the feeling from that. You basically want to sell what it is in the picture. So Instagram is a great way to go. Pinterest is another one. The other good thing that's going to help you sell candles and help you get a little bit more recognized in those platforms is going into written detail, which I'm terrible at right now. If you go to my website, I have a couple candles that have really good descriptions of exactly what the scent is, and some of them just say like cinnamons. There's really nothing else on there. So it's a good idea to really go into, especially for those of you who are good writers, you can get in there and really sell the scent and sell kind of the I guess the style or ambiance or the atmosphere that you're trying to portray with the candle. So if you're a good writer, that's definitely a good way to go. Real good descriptions, the scents, the different notes, the top, middle, and base notes that are in candles. If you can write those really well, you can sell what that scent is just by talking about what it is without them even smelling it. Now, as far as social media platforms, Instagram is probably one of the best ones just because the pictures. Facebook is another one, so I would definitely say have a Facebook page because a lot of people are on that. And then of course the biggest thing is how to promote yourself and get yourself out there. And the good thing about all these platforms are free, and basically what it's going to take is literally hard work from you. Getting out there, Instagram is one that you're posting photos. It's there's millions of people on it now, so it's really hard to gain a following now, or harder to gain a following now than it used to be in the past. So one of the things that's going to help you out in any of these platforms, but we'll specifically talk about Instagram, is getting on there and posting and hashtags, written form. Now the hashtags don't work as well as they used to, but they definitely still work. So it's a good idea to tag different things. So if you're selling candles in like spas or salons or anything like that, not only do you want to tag like hashtag candles, you want to hashtag like the area that's around you. So for me, it would be Gig Harbor, Seattle, Tacoma, Washington, and then also tag like different, not the salons themselves, but the hashtag salon or something like that. Just so that it shows up in different search results. And of course, the biggest thing, 2 of the big things, is going to be the frequency at which you post. If you're only posting 1 photo a day, Instagram moves so quick and people follow so many people that your picture, and because of the algorithm and the way that Instagram kind of prioritizes photos, if somebody follows you and you're not posting that much, the chances of your photo showing up at the top of their feed when they open Instagram is going to be pretty slim. So posting a lot more frequently, and then posting something that is engaging, something that's going to make people hit the heart button, the like button, and add a comment, is going to help your photo stay in their main feed. So the more that they open Instagram, the more that you show up in there. And of course, I want to go back to the frequency. So posting 1 time a day is You definitely want to post one time a day, but only posting one time a day is not going to be good enough. You definitely have to post multiple times in the day. And again, I go back and forth on being good with this and being terrible with this. So posting 4, 5, 6 times a day is not a bad thing. And I'll tell you why. A lot of people say, I don't want to clutter people's feeds. At this point, with so much content being out there, if you posted 10 pictures a day, random times through the day, like every other hour and a half or something like that, if you posted 10 images, the people that follow you might see 1 or 2, maybe 3, depending on how many people they follow. And again, that's because of the algorithm. Instagram doesn't want people's feeds to be cluttered because they won't be coming back. If somebody posts 100 photos in a day, Instagram isn't going to show you all 100 of those photos, because if all you saw was that one person's photos, it would drive you insane and people would leave the platform. So they definitely work the algorithm so that it floods in, and I've seen this with friends that I follow, and I don't follow a ton of people on my personal page, but these are people that I do interact with, and I'll see 1 or 2 photos from them, like it and whatnot, and then I actually go into their profile and I saw that they posted like 6 times within the last week, and I only saw 2 of them. So that's why I say, post as much as you can, and it's not going to hurt your followers or anything like that. It's only going to benefit you, actually, because you're going to show up in a lot more people's feeds, and you're going to get 1 out of 6 of those photos to actually show up. The other big one is going to be communication. So anytime somebody posts a comment or a heart or anything, and real ones, of course, because there's a lot of spam out there. So anytime somebody posts something on your Instagram post, your Facebook post, anything like that, you should absolutely be reaching out and commenting back to these people. Thank you for the heart, thank you for the comment, whatever it is. If they ask a question, try to answer it, because stuff like that, the communication is going to build, it's basically going to build your community. I used to be really good at it on YouTube, but if you go look at any one of my videos on YouTube, you'll notice that I comment or heart or like or whatever it is on like 90%. It used to be 100%, but it's getting a little bit more out of control with more people commenting, but I still try to do it. But if you go back and look at any one of my videos, you can see that I comment, like, or heart about 90% of those comments. And that definitely keeps people around. They know that they can come there. They know that they can get their questions answered. They know that they feel like part of a community. So that communication is going to be huge. Elizabeth asks, I would love and I need to learn more about marketing my product without coming across as a pushy salesperson. And of course, how to approach stores to get my product placed. Now, this is another really good one. And if you're not a part of the DIY Facebook group, I would definitely tell you to show up, get in there and look at Elizabeth's photo. She's in there constantly. She's helping a lot of people in there, and she actually makes incredible candles. And not only incredible candles, but she does a lot of other DIY products that are kind of around the candles. So definitely get in there and check her stuff out as well. As far as not coming across as a pushy salesman, is you really don't need to sell. That's probably one of the biggest things. And I'm just going to steal this literally from Gary Vee right here, and it's not selling. Basically, when you're posting photos on Instagram, when I'm doing these videos here, if you go look, I'll give you a perfect example. If you go look at any of my videos where I'm making candles, I'm using products that I sell. Every single, like the melter that I'm using, now I completely forget what else I sell. But a lot of the stuff that I sell, like the wick packs or anything like that, the melters is probably the biggest one. I don't need to tell people in my video, hey, rush over and buy this melter. They see me working with it. That in and of itself is a sale. I'm pushing the sale right there. I'm using the melter, I'm using the products, everybody sees me using that, and of course somebody watching the video goes, I need one of those. That looks way too nice, way too handy, it's too convenient. And then just watching the video of me using it or seeing my products in the video is the sale without being a salesman. So I would tell you to do the same thing with Instagram as well. You posting photos and talking about it, and more talking about your process rather than I have a buy 3 get 1 free sale, is going to go a lot further. You talking about your process, your struggles, basically anything like that. Just showing your products is a sale without making it a sale, basically. And then the second part of that was how to get your products into stores. I was talking with somebody last night, actually, and she was asking about that, and I said flat out, I just walk into stores. I literally just walk in with a couple samples and say, hey, I'm a local candle maker. I'm not sure if you guys sell candles, but if you'd be interested, I can give you a couple candles. Just wanted to know if you guys would be up for selling candles. And you'll find that most shops are, and they just don't know where to get them. So there's a lot of shops around here that are just waiting for people to come in and offer them something, because of course they want products to sell in their stores. And candles are a great addition to almost any shop, even salons, like I mentioned earlier. Salons are a good one. A lot of people want to basically add something along with some of the purchases that they're making with like the hair products and stuff like that. Candles do really well. So I would literally just tell you, and I think I mentioned it in the last video also, DMing different people in Instagram. Like if you see a boutique on Instagram and they happen to be a couple states away or across the country, wherever it is, I just send them an email or send them a DM and just say, hey, I like what you guys do. I notice you do this. I notice you do that. I think the candles would fit perfect. I'm not sure if you're up for it, but I would love to send you some samples to see if you'd want to sell candles in your shop. And I do the same thing locally too. Now that's a little bit harder for people that don't like to get out. And I mean, that's a pretty big undertaking just to walk into a store and really put yourself out there. So if you're uncomfortable with walking into a store, I would definitely go the DM route. It's very easy. You just write a simple sentence and you're done. There's no awkward interaction. You're not standing in front of people. So people that are a little bit more introverted, the DM is a great way to go about doing that. Okay, Denita asks, I would like to know more about testing different fragrances with different wicks and when you should switch it up to get an amazing hot throw. Another really good question, and this is probably one that is a little bit more difficult as time goes on. Basically what you're gonna do is once you find the wax that you're working with, you find a wick that works well in that wax, you're gonna start testing fragrances in it. So let's just say that we're using 6006 wax, and we'll go to my go-to for everything, just the jelly jar. The jelly jar with a HTP 83 or 93, the 6006 wax, and let's throw a cinnamon in there just because cinnamon is so strong. So once you get that one nailed down, you know exactly what you're doing, and you go to test like lemon is, any lemon scent for me is one that I really have to test different wicks on, just because it always comes out a little light. Basically what I would do with that one is I would try different wicks. If the lemon or any scent that you pick in a candle jar, a combo that you know is working well, you have like 8 scents that are working extremely well, and then you try a couple new ones that are just a little lighter, they're not really throwing as well. I would go through and alter the ratio first. So if you're doing like a 10% oil to wax ratio, you might take that to an 11, you might take it back down to like a 7 or an 8. Certain waxes or certain oils will perform better when you add a little bit less. And of course, you might also mess with the temperatures a little bit. If you're adding lemon scents or something, I'm just choosing lemon. So if you add a lemon scent at like 180 degrees and it's not throwing as well, I would take that down a little bit and add the oil around 170 degrees just to see if that does it any better with the same wicks. And then if that one doesn't work as well, I would probably switch up the wicks a little bit. Now you can definitely go a different brand. So if you're using the HTP 83 or 93 like I suggest, you might jump up to the 104 just to see what it does, but you might end up with a little bit bigger melt pool than you want. If the HTP is not working, then I would definitely switch over and try like a CD wick or an Eco wick, or try another one in that same size to see if it helps the throw any better. Jessica asks, my questions are all about blending both waxes and fragrance oils. I've been toying with the idea to blend my candle wax with my tart wax to get a more aesthetically pleasing look to my clamshells. Is there a magic percentage to start trying to blend, or is it just trial and error? Now, this is a question that I'm actually gonna make a full video on and go into a lot more detail with this one, but essentially this one comes down to just testing it out. If, like with this question right here, she's making clamshells, so make something a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. So I'm not sure if she's talking about just like a little harder wax, or if it just a little bit smoother or a little bit whiter. So with this one, if you're using the 6006 and the 4625, the 6006 is a softer wax. I've shown it 100 times in these videos, and the 4625 is a really hard wax. You have to hit it with a hammer to break it. So if you wanted to take the 6006 and make it a little bit stiffer, because it doesn't work well in clamshells by itself, it's a little soft. So if you wanted to stiffen that up a little bit, you would add 4625 so that the wax is a little bit harder going into the clamshells, and it would definitely make it work a little bit better. So for this one, I would basically, if you know your wax well, it makes it a little bit easier to choose how much you add into it. So the 6006 is a little bit softer, and depending on the temperature, it gets a little bit harder, so it's not too bad. I don't know that I would go 50-50 with that one. If I was gonna try it out, I would do 75-25. I would do 75% 6006 and 25% 4625. And I think that 25% would probably give you the harder consistency of the 6006 that you're wanting to go for, and it would fit into clamshell as well. If you went with more of like a 50-50 ratio, the 4625 is definitely going to help, but it's probably not going to do much more. It's just going to make it it's just going to make the clamshells a little bit harder. And of course, the 4625 doesn't hold as much oil as the 6006 does. So as you add more 4625 to the 6006, your oil ratio is going to go down a little bit more too. So I would probably start out with that one, me personally, at 75% 6006, just so that you can get a little bit more oil into it, and then add the 4625 just so that it stiffens up a little bit more. Now, as far as getting into different looks or anything like that, you can do 6006, which is kind of like an off-white or a little bit more of a yellowish color, and then something like the coconut paraffin, which is extremely bright white, or the Joy wax, which is another one that's extremely bright white. Now those are softer waxes, so they're probably not going to blend well and go into a clamshell. It's going to be too soft. But if you're doing the little shot cups, like these right here, these are really good because it doesn't matter if the wax is a little bit soft in this one. So you're basically just going to pop that out. So it really doesn't matter if it's a little too soft. But if you wanted to go for a little bit more of a white look, you would add a little bit more of the coconut paraffin to the 6006 and kind of remove some of that yellowing in that. And for me, it always comes down to just testing it out. I would literally start, if you don't know the consistencies of your wax, I would literally just start at 50-50. Grab two waxes, add 50% of one or a pound of one and a pound of the other, blend them together, make a candle, make a tart, make a clamshell, and just see how they look. And you'll definitely get a good idea. And then of course you'll know at the 50-50 spot, because you can grab the two waxes, you can get the 6006 and the 4627, which is a really soft wax. And if you make those 50-50, you can see the end product to see really what it does. And you can feel the consistency of one and then the consistency of the blended clamshell just to see how well it works. And then if you needed to make it a little bit harder or make it a little bit softer, you just adjust those percentages kind of as needed, really. Baina Jean asks, my question is, how do you deal with customers that say your candles are too expensive? I sell my 8-ounce tin for $9. In my community, it's a little too high. So that's another one that is real. It comes down to personal preference, and just like she said, it's going to come down to your area. There's really no good universal price. You're always going to find somebody that thinks, I've had people tell me my candles are priced too low. It's usually friends and family and stuff like that, which I completely understand. But you're also going to find people who say your candles are too expensive, and they're going to say it's too expensive even if you have it barely above cost. So you're always going to find those people. So I would definitely find, it's a good idea to reach out, find what candles sell for in your area, just so that you know if you're in an area that's, I hate to say upscale or anything like that, but there are absolutely areas that sell higher priced items extremely well, and some areas that sell just medium priced items, and they're not going to sell very well in that area. So you definitely want to reach out, find out kind of how much your candles are selling for. And I would say if there's a boutique in an area where it doesn't sell as high priced items, I don't know that I would probably carry my candles there, just because you're going to run into the problem of people thinking they're too expensive. So if you can get your candles to an area where that kind of stuff, like there's an area of Portland that is downtown. It's in an area that's really expensive. All the buildings are crazy expensive, and every single one of the shops around there sells very small and kind of basic everyday items for probably twice what they are in just your basic suburbs. So that's an area where candles are going to sell and nobody's going to bat an eye at the price. If you're going online, you really don't need to worry about how much your candles are selling for, because you're eventually going to find that customer that likes your candle, your prices, and everything like that, and they're never going to question it. And then of course, having said all that, it's a good idea to go out there and obviously make sure that your candles aren't too high priced. You can definitely put together a candle that you might find one or two people to pay like $50 for it. But if you lowered it down to say like $20, you might sell 100 of them as opposed to 4 at $50. So you definitely want to make sure that you're not overpricing it just because you can. Again, that's personal preference. If you can get away with a $50 candle, I would do it in a second. But if you're coming down to it, definitely go through, find out your cost, find out your wholesale, find out your retail around the area, and just make sure that you're appropriately priced. All right, so that's pretty much it with this one. I just wanted to go through, answer a couple questions. I do have a lot more questions in that post that I'm going to go through for episode 3 on this one. If there was something in here that you disagreed with or you thought was good, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll try to go through and answer every single one of those. If you've got a question that you want in the next video, please again ask it in the comments down below or send me an email, and that also is in the video description down below. So again, I hope you liked the Q&A. A lot of people seem to like the last one. I hope this one does extremely well. I just want to get a lot of these questions out and answered for people who before basically just didn't see the answer. I answered it to one person, so I thought it was a good idea to answer this for everybody, because a lot of people bring up questions that the answers are great for everybody, but a lot of people just don't know to ask certain questions. So if you like this format and this style, please give the video a like or give the video a thumbs up, and thank you for watching.